Hello, everyone. Welcome to the conference call for the Tamil New Year journey into the sacred lands of Egypt and Israel. Tonight we're going to be talking about everything you would need to know in order to feel comfortable to make your travel plans, as well as the logistics that you would require in order to do so. So first of all, a couple of important dates before we get into the meat of what we're talking about. The registration date, the deposit is required by March 8th, which is next Monday, and that's just the deposit, the $500 deposit, in order to hold your spot. That's non-refundable, so that we make sure we know what our count is for the trip. And then the remainder of the balance, which is another $3,200, is due by March 25th. So it's coming up fast because the trip is coming up fast, because Baba divinely decided he wanted to go back to Egypt after he was there for his birthday. So as you know, Baba works in the moment, in the divine moment of the now. So that's how we're operating, and which means it takes a leap of faith to get into that moment, and then there's miracles. So that's exactly what we plan to experience on this trip. The trip dates are April 12th through April 20th. You will be arriving on April 12th into Cairo, Egypt. You will be departing on April 20th out of Tel Aviv, Israel. So, and there's going to be, I believe, a pre-trip offer and a post-trip. So this is just the base trip where Baba will physically be present. He won't be present for the either one of the add-on trips, and we will get to that later. But right now we're really just focusing on our main trip and and what you need to know. A little bit about how we got to this trip. As you know, Baba went to Egypt for his birthday and was completely blown away. He said that it is the most power he's ever experienced. That day, his birthday, was really, truly his rebirth. And tapping into all those energies and reawakening the gods and goddesses of Egypt will have a profound effect on the coming of the Golden Age. And we will, in fact, be using all of that energy, that divine technology, in transforming our own bodies, minds, into light and the enlightenment process. So we stayed back, Mohini and I actually, after that trip, to do some research, thinking maybe someday we'll come back again. And in fact, went to some other hotels and locations in Egypt to see what we liked. Then we went to Israel to look at what was there, hotels, what are the really fantastic power spots, really just experiencing the trip before you, so that we could pick out the cream of the crop of what's the best way to spend our time and energy there to get the maximum effect. And that's what we did. And when we came back, it's been nonstop, just getting preparations in place for this trip that we're going on now. So that's the nutshell of how this began. And so how this call is going to go, we're going to turn it over to Mohini, and she's going to talk about the step-by-step, really, of what we're doing on this trip, starting from day one through the end of the magical journey. And she'll also give you a background of Baba's trips. She's been doing them for, I think, 17 years now, and has the most experience than anyone else to speak about that and the true divinity that is involved in them. And then we are going to hear some testimonials and then open the call for questions and answers. So we should be doing this all within an hour, and without wasting any more time, I will turn it over to Mohini.
Okay, everyone. I am so excited to share about my personal experience in going to Egypt and Israel, because after we went to Israel as well as Egypt, I finally had a much more comprehensive understanding that this next trip to Egypt and Israel will be the most monumental journey in Baba's mission to establish heaven on earth. This is really a journey for all people who are eager to proclaim their divinity and then empower themselves for their own personal mission of bringing in heaven on earth. We all have such an important role, and Baba has said that 2010 is the most important stepping stone as we're approaching the Golden Age, which will be dawning in December of 2012. So this journey will have monumental importance. And I feel so strongly that so many people on this call and the people who weren't able to join this call will feel the inner awakening in their heart that they must be on this journey in order to empower themselves. Because after I left Israel, I finally understood that Christ himself, he empowered himself for his mission at these great vortexes. It was the vortexes that gave him all his divine magical powers, all his supernatural understanding, his consciousness. It came from these vortexes. So I've been listening to Baba talk about vortexes for the past 17 years, and I've been so fortunate to have led so many journeys in India where Baba was blessing people with opening up the great vortexes of India. But I had so much more of a profound understanding after leaving Egypt and Israel that these vortexes are so critical in our evolution of the human becoming divine. And this trip will be absolutely a pinnacle. So I just want to share that, of course, a trip with Baba is like nothing you've ever experienced, and all of those of you on this call who have done it know what I mean. You are in a very personal, intimate space where he is changing your destiny 24/7 around the clock, every moment of every day. And when people leave our trips at the end of them, whether it's been India or Egypt, we get so many miracle stories of the changes when they go home. Everything changes in their lives. People can entirely change their career. People have had fantastic healing. When we left Egypt, we received a beautiful email from a wonderful lady on the trip who said that before Egypt, she was facing bone marrow cancer. She went back to her doctors after the trip. They did all the tests, and they said, there is no more cancer here. So she totally knows that it was Egypt that healed her. And, of course, Baba is the conduit who is able to absorb all the power in those vortexes and transmit it to all of us while we're there in those vortexes with him. So he is really the key. He is the one who can absorb and empower and transmit in a way that our body, mind, and soul can receive so beautifully. So during this trip, everyone can expect to be tremendously empowered and a totally transformed destiny. And the timing is perfect. All of our trips have a perfect time. This trip is during the time of Tamil New Year, and Tamil New Year is the time, according to the sun's rotation, that we actually start anew. It's not January 1st, but it's April 14th. And on April 14th, we are going to begin an entirely new leaf in our walk towards heaven on earth. And on that day, Baba wants to be at 3 of the greatest power spots in all of Egypt. We are going to be at the Great Pyramid, which I can tell you so many people have profound experiences at that Great Pyramid. That chamber is directly linked to heaven. And you can literally experience heaven on earth. We were not on the earth plane anymore. What was happening there was pure heaven, ecstasy, bliss, and transformation, and you'll be hearing a testimonial about that. We will also be meditating with Baba between the paws of the Sphinx, and as Baba declared there at that spot, this is the greatest power spot on the face of the earth. The power there is tremendous. And then we move on to the Sun Temple. And at the Sun Temple, we were fortunate enough to go there with Baba on his birthday. And he declared that on that day he awakened and enlivened the power which is coming from the sun. And from now on, people can much more easily access a higher state of intelligence because our consciousness comes from the sun. So when he takes us to that spot on April 14th, when the sun will be moving into a position where the world will be coming anew again for the new year, that this sun, he will transmit the full power of the intelligence and consciousness of the sun into us. So that will be monumentally important. Then after that, we have the fantastic experience of traveling to Mount Sinai and then ascending Mount St. Catherine, which is the holiest of holy place in that area, where it is held that actually God appeared to Moses in the burning bush. So this is a fantastic journey that we're going to take. It's quite exciting because we need to start the ascent at 2 o'clock in the morning and then ascend to the top at sunrise by 5 a.m. and then climb back down. So it will be truly a pilgrimage of a very high nature because we are ascending a place which contains tremendous power, and we will be there at the peak at sunrise in order to receive that energy and to step into the energy that Moses experienced when God spoke to him and gave him the 10 Commandments. After that, the experience of the Judean desert and the Sea of Galilee in Jerusalem, it is really something that, for me, it is almost beyond language. It's when we walked first into the Judean desert and had this profoundly mystical experience of taking a cable car up to what is called Mount Temptation, and we were able to stand at the place where Christ actually meditated in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights and overcame all the temptations by the devil. When we were in that desert, I felt the tremendous stillness and the power and the perfection of consciousness there for evolving a soul in terms of meditation. And we will actually be meditating on that mountain in a beautiful monastery which is kept for only rare visits by people. So we will be spending time and meditating at the exact same spot where Christ himself meditated, and that was the place where he evolved himself for his public mission. It was in the Judean desert at Mount Temptation. And from there, we'll be literally following his footsteps to the Sea of Galilee. And what a fantastic place. The Sea of Galilee is where Christ walked on the water, and he called his disciples to become fishers of men, and he calmed the storms. When you even drive through the countryside going towards the Sea of Galilee, the landscape is exactly as it was when Jesus was there. And you can see him everywhere. You can feel him everywhere. You feel exactly as if you're placing your footsteps in the footsteps of Christ. And at the Sea of Galilee, he delivered his Sermon on the Mount. And when you stand there on the shores of the Sea of Galilee on Mount Beatitudes where Christ delivered his sermon, there is the most profound feeling that I know that something monumental is going to happen on this trip. Baba himself will stand at all these locations and deliver his own commentary on the sermon that Christ gave. And I feel that divine energy will be awakened throughout the world, that Christ's energy will be absolutely unleashed, and that this power will be there for heaven on earth, because that's what Christ came here for, was to bring heaven on earth. So something very profound is going to happen at the Sea of Galilee. And after that, we ascend to Jerusalem, and this is really a city which is beyond any other city I could imagine on the face of the earth. I've traveled all over the world, but I've never seen anything like Jerusalem. Even to stand on the Mount of Olives, where Christ made his triumphal entry, when you stand there and gaze on this city, it is completely unearthly. I know why they call it the city in between heaven on earth. It is a city like nothing you've ever seen, with white shining stone everywhere and temples everywhere, and people longing to be buried and have their gravestone near all these great places, so that when the trumpets are called and souls are asked to ascend, that they're the first to be called back to the Lord. There's such an emotional fervor there and passion, and to actually have the experience to follow the way of the cross, it is profoundly emotional. We are going to go to the very place where Christ found out at the Garden of Gethsemane. He realized that he was going to be betrayed. He kept his vigil there. When you stand there, I wept. You can feel the agony. You can feel the passion of Christ. We literally follow his footsteps when he gets condemned to death. And then we walk that path where he had to pick up the cross, and he carried it throughout Jerusalem, being scorned and hated by so many people. And then to the final crucifixion, it's all there. It's in a living energy. You can access it all, and we can truly understand and relate to the passion of Christ. So at the burial place of Christ where he arose, Yes, there was tremendous agony, but he did it for a grand purpose. And at his burial place, you can feel such power. And people are laying their head on the tomb and weeping. And the emotion is so fantastic. It is really something out of this world. Then the pinnacle will actually be our visit to the Dome of the Rock, which is the holiest place on the face of the earth that is so fervently wanted by the major religions of the world, the Jews, the Muslims, the Christians. And at this Dome of the Rock, it's believed that Muhammad ascended there. It was the original site of the great temple of Jerusalem. This is where Christ chased the money changers out of the temple. So at this Dome of the Rock, there is the pitch of the emotional fervor of all these people that are longing for evolution, ascension. They all come there. And it's so dramatic. So I can only say that this journey will build and build and build in power. We will walk in the evolution of the gods and goddesses of Egypt, of the kings and the pharaohs of Christ. We'll follow his journey, and we will experience the climax, and Baba will bring us to the pinnacle that he knows that we all need to go towards. He's guiding the entire journey. He will unleash all the energies, and he will help us to absorb it to the maximum. So that's what's going to be happening on this journey, and along with that, we just have the most beautiful setting. We specifically picked such lush and gorgeous hotels so that people could truly relax at night and be surrounded in utter luxury. And simply to stay in the desert itself, our hotel is in the Judean desert. When I went to the Judean desert that day, I was actually sick with a sinus infection and feeling very weak and unwell. I was shocked when I looked in the mirror after I came down from Mount Temptation, where we were meditating in the monastery, and I looked so rejuvenated and alive, and the beauty that came forth. Now I understand why the area of the Dead Sea is so famous for beauty. The rejuvenation and the beatific glow was fantastic. So there's so many aspects of this journey. There is the highest purpose of empowering ourselves to take our important role in heaven on earth. And then there's all the loveliness and luxury around us where we can rejuvenate ourselves on every level of body, mind, and soul. So really it will be the trip of all trips, and I'm so excited that so many of you will be joining us. So Jaya, would you like to take it from here?
Sure. Well, that was the trip in a nutshell, everything that you will be experiencing. From here, I wanted to actually ask Alakesh to give his testimonial of his experience.
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, first I want to thank both Mohini and Jaya because they've worked endlessly since we've, in fact, even before we've returned, because as you heard Mohini mention that they both stayed behind in Egypt and Israel to make sure that our accommodations were extremely special and everything was just perfect for our next trip. And for the past 3 weeks, they had to tirelessly work in putting all of this together very, very quickly. So thank you so much to the both of you. I know you guys have worked very, very hard, and it was very challenging. Before I heard that Baba had decided to go back to these power spots, I was already making plans on my own with some friends to go back to these power spots because the experience was just immense. There's definitely a special energy that exists within these pyramids. And I've been to many power spots around the world. I've been to India many times, and I've never experienced anything like this. Even people who don't experience energy anywhere experience something very special, especially in the King's Chamber. And to me, that was the highlight of my trip. There's nothing that compares to the King's Chamber. You know, and just having Baba's energy there, it just compounded the energy, and it just made things really, very special. I mean, at first I spoke about this on the Yahoo groups, and I talked about my traveling down to what they call the pit, and it literally felt like you were going into the pit of your own consciousness. Because when I finally got down there, I found a lot of issues of my own started to surface. And I was not very comfortable sitting there, even though there was a certain stillness. So I didn't stay there very long. So I left immediately, and I just started climbing back up, and I began to hear Baba's chanting at a distance, and I wasn't sure exactly where he was. I mean, it just sounded like he was right next to you. So I just kept following his voice, and someone had told me don't miss the Queen's Chamber, which is in between the pit and the King's Chamber. But I sort of bypassed that because I was just following Baba's voice, and I said I have to go to that voice, and that led me all the way up to the King's Chamber. When you enter the King's Chamber, the first thing you feel is you get this increase in your own vibration. You feel that your mind just stops, and you get a sense of unity. There was definitely a unity consciousness or a feeling of oneness. Now, we had about 80 people on our trip, and at the beginning there were a few people in there, then more people started to pour in. As more people started to go in there, my consciousness started to just shift as more people entered that room. And then people began to chant, and they were following Baba's lead. And Baba was just glowing. He was glowing. I've never seen him. He was the happiest I've ever seen him. And then he started doing things that I've never seen him do before. And he started allowing people to touch his hands. He was initiating people by putting his hand on everyone else's head. And it was just amazing. And then he just lay on the sarcophagus that was in that room. And he took off his socks, and he asked everyone to touch his feet. And I was standing in the back, and at that moment I knew this was the right thing for him to do. I didn't say, why is he doing that? How could he be doing that? In that space, it just seemed right. And as I was sharing with everyone else, I've known Baba for 9 years. I've never even touched his feet, much less hold on to them. And the moment I did that, I know there was an explosion in my heart. And I felt overwhelmed with joy. But at the same time, the thoughts came to me and says, Baba, you're like a sponge. You're going to absorb all these people's negative energy. And, but he was just very, really happy, and everyone seemed very happy as well. And no one wanted to leave. And I think we stayed there for about maybe an hour and a half. And I noticed that there was some people were having a little bit of a challenging time. I think things were coming up for them, but I just felt elated. And when everyone was leaving, I just lie in the sarcophagus by myself, and that's when my biggest experience occurred, because I started to chant the word awaken, and I don't even know why that came to me, but I just started saying awaken as I lie flat in the sarcophagus, and all of a sudden, the sound started permeating across the sarcophagus. I think it's made out of granite. And I didn't hear my own voice anymore. I kept hearing this divine voice saying, awaken, awaken. And then someone reached in and touched me on the third eye. And I knew it was happening. And I opened my eyes, but they pulled back, really quickly. And I don't know who that was. But I left, and you leave as a different person. Your consciousness just totally and completely shifts. When I walked out of that pyramid, it was such a beautiful day, and you had people approaching you because they're trying to sell something for you, and usually I would get upset about that, but I was just so elated. And this is just one small experience. And now we're going back to the three most powerful areas that I had the most powerful experience, which is the Sun Temple that Mohini mentioned, and the Sphinx. So I had other experiences there, not as profound as the King's Chamber, but you were still able to feel the energy there. And the group, while it was large, it felt like it was a family of maybe just 10 people. It was simply amazing. And I'm just trying to get as many people I know to come on this trip, because I know in my heart it's going to be Baba's last trip. So I think that's all I want to say on this. And Mohini, you want to take it from here?
Sure. So I'd just like to talk about some of the logistics of the trip. Jaya mentioned the dates, and people have been asking questions about how to book their flights. So to book your flights, you only need to be in Cairo to be present for the first program by 6 p.m. on the 12th, meaning you can fly in any time from the early morning to the afternoon. On our last trip to Egypt, some of the people flew in around even 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They arrived at the hotel by 2, and they had some rest before that 6 p.m. First session. And then for Cairo, there's only one airport, so that's easy. For your departure, you'll be departing from the Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. There's of course, no airport in Jerusalem, so Tel Aviv is the nearest airport. That's only 45 minutes from Jerusalem. And what we suggest, in order to maximize your time in Jerusalem, you would leave any time, your flight can depart any time after 5 p.m. from the Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. We will be having some programs that morning on the 20th, our grand finale with Baba, and we will get you to the airport in order to take any flight which leaves after 5 p.m. And I've heard that a lot of the international flights leave in the evening or the wee hours of the morning. So if it's the wee hours of the morning, that flight would actually be scheduled to leave on the 21st. If it's 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., 3 a.m., what it means is simply that we would get you to the airport at the appropriate time, and you would have the entire day of the 20th in order to enjoy the grand finale with us. And then if you leave late at night, you would probably have time for a shopping excursion or to do things on your own. Now, regarding visas, it's not required for most countries to get a visa in advance. For Egypt, it is very easy to get a visa upon arrival, and especially for those of you in Singapore, many of you got your visa in advance for Egypt, but as you found out, it was extremely simple. You pay $15 and you get a visa on the spot. For Israel, we're going to be helping you cross the border all together as a group. So we will be taking care of the situation of getting the group over. Everyone should be able to get a visa upon arrival. We only need to know if there are any people who are traveling with a passport from perhaps a country like either Malaysia or Dubai. If your passport is in that country, please contact us. There are some special regulations that you can follow in order to get a visa in advance. For everyone else, please do go to the Israeli immigration website in order to verify that your country has no problems with getting visa upon arrival. But Americans, Europeans, Singaporeans, that's fine. For people from Latin American countries, you may need to check on that. And we'll help you with that as well, so you can contact Alikesh about that. Now, regarding your dress, I found out it is very important to wear comfortable shoes, especially Egypt and Israel, because even in Israel, we'll be walking on uneven ground, whether it's Jerusalem. All the streets a lot of them are cobblestone. And then both in Egypt and Israel, we'll be walking on desert sand and these kinds of things. So tennis shoes are paramount. Closed-toed shoes make you really comfortable. You don't get sand in your shoes and get uncomfortable if you have sandals. And you might be walking down slippery slopes, especially for the hike up St. Catherine's Mountain. You will definitely need very secure and comfortable shoes. So that's the number one criteria. And then at the holy sites in Egypt and Israel, it's fine to wear jeans and pants. That's absolutely perfect. Because the weather will be warm in general, could go up as high as the upper 80s or even 90 degrees. But then in the desert at night, it can be cool. So we suggest that everyone dresses in layers. And in Israel, for example, you would be wearing probably a T-shirt with a jacket over that, even throughout the day, and you could remove it on and off, because in Jerusalem, sometimes you enter a holy site and it's very cold inside the site because it's in an enclosed stone environment. But then you walk out into the sun and it's hot. So be prepared with long sleeves, short sleeves, jacket, sweater. That would be perfect. Be casual, be comfortable, and very importantly, sunglasses, sunscreen, in Israel, because of the bright white, I'm sorry, everybody, because of the bright white stones of the temples in Jerusalem and the desert, sorry, you actually need sunglasses because there is a bright glare off of these white stones in the desert. So that would really help. Now, for the hike up St. Catherine's, we had 2 of our people that made that hike, and they said it was absolutely not to be missed and something extremely profound for them. They do recommend that all of you who are not currently aerobically fit, that you do a little bit of aerobics every day, even if it's taking the stairs instead of taking the elevator, to prepare yourself for that, because it is a climb of 3 hours. Part of that is on camelback. Part of that is your own walking up the mountain. And then the air gets a little thin on the top. So they saw plenty of people up there in their 50s and 60s, so there's no real worry about the age of anyone. However, it's just important to prepare yourself for the journey. So those are the logistics that I can think of. Would anyone else like to chime in with preparations that would make it helpful for everybody?
I think that's all I could think of as well.
I think that's covered pretty well right now.
Comprehensive.
Yeah.
Hat. Did
Okay.
you hat for
the only thing I would want to add is this, and this was my own experience. You mentioned arriving on the 12th. Is that correct, Mohini?
Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just to get some extra rest. I mean, I arrived a day earlier, and it's just easier to arrive a day earlier, and then you can. I guess we're having a seminar on that evening. It's just to be, nicely refreshed and for the seminar. So I just wanted to let people know that it would be good if they arrived a day earlier if they can.
And if you do arrive a day earlier, I just wanted to make sure that everyone understands that you would be responsible for that night of hotel and your meals. So from the 12th, from when you arrive, from the time you exit that airport and we pick you up, our representatives will be right there, so have no fear. We are with you from the very moment you arrive, just like you've all experienced in India, or many of you. Everything is covered. Hotel, meals, tipping. You don't have to reach into your pocket for any money except if someone brings an item to your door, like if you need some extra toilet paper for your room or a towel, you tip that person. Otherwise, everything is absolutely covered. It's all in the trip cost. But if you arrive early, you must please let us know as quickly as possible, and then we will help to book an additional night hotel for you either before the trip, meaning starting from the night of the 11th or prior, or if you stay over the night of the 20th or after, we can help you book additional nights, and then you can pay to the hotel directly.
Great. The other question that has come up from people that I've heard from is a couple things. Safety. Is this area of the world safe, and should I go there? And it's Muslim, and how are women treated, and what do we need to dress like? First, the safety. I had my own concerns about entering Israel. And once you get there, it's despite what's on the news of all the unrest, I didn't see evidence of that at all, except for the checkpoints. There are checkpoints when you go into different regions of the country, the Palestinian versus the Jerusalem, for example. And there were checkpoints. But other than that, I didn't see any type of, military standing around even, except, the Dome of the Rock is also protected by some guards. But other than that, I felt surprisingly safe, and I was a little cautious when entering. So I do want to assure you that you will be taken care of 100% in that respect. We are creating a secure place. We're going to places that are only secure and stable, politically stable. We're not going to anything that has any type of fighting at all. So I do want everyone to rest assured that you will be safe in this country. And also, of course, you're divinely blessed with Baba and in his company, and that goes beyond any other type of security we can actually implement physically. How are women treated, and what is it like to be in a Muslim country or Arabic like Egypt? It's like being in New York. That's how it seems. There are women who cover their head because of their religion, and it's by choice. It's not forced. And they're different Muslim men and women who dress in all different kinds of ways. So it really isn't anything that is, in my opinion anyway, suppressed. So I felt extremely comfortable there as well. So if Mohini and Alakesh have anything to add to that.
I found everyone so gracious and so kind, and both in Egypt and in Israel, people were just wonderful. And so there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. I completely agree with Jaya. And I often find that if you radiate love yourself, then everyone radiates love back. So you'll be comfortable. And at the border, when we cross the border, you'll receive questions from people that their energy may seem like it's coming across as a bit strong, but they're just doing their job. So you just answer the questions, and that's it. So we're going to take care of you at the border crossing. We'll be all together, and so there's absolutely nothing to worry about there.
Yep. Yeah, so before we open the lines, I just want to let you all know that I've been speaking with, I was, of course, on the first trip, and been speaking with some of the other folks who have been there, and everyone that I've spoken to is still processing the January trip. It was that powerful. People are having dreams about Egypt. People are experiencing all different types of transformation in their life, internally, spiritually, mentally. There's an unraveling of the identity of which they had before they set foot in that country to where they are right now, and that is Baba's divine process and play. So it is, backing up what Mohini said, 100% transformational. Your life will definitely not be the same. So if you're into that kind of thing, you definitely want to be on this trip. And as Alakesh said, we don't know if, when, ever Baba will personally be on a trip again. We just don't know. He's not even making plans past May right now. So if you want to be on a trip and experience firsthand being this close to Baba, being in the pyramid with Baba, being in the land where Jesus walked with Baba, this is your chance. I would just grab it. And if it happens again, it happens again. But we don't know. We never know what he'll do. So on that note, I will open the line and take some questions. Okay, everyone. So I open the line only to the fact that you can now unmute yourself. You would press *6 and you can speak.
What I'd like, this is Camille from Louisiana.
Hi, Camille.
Hi, darling. And
Hi, Camille.
Hello.
I think I know.
Of course you do.
Hi, sweetheart.
We were on the first trip together.
Yeah, 17 years ago.
Wow,
Great.
like in the 1990s.
Yeah. You got a question for us?
Yes, darling. I want to find out, is the plane fare from Cairo to Tel Aviv included in the trip?
Good question.
We're actually taking a bus because the journey to St. Catherine's is in between Cairo and Tel Aviv.
Oh,
so we're transporting you all the way. All you need to do is fly into Cairo and fly out of Tel Aviv.
Okay. And is all the trip is it going to be $3,700 for the trip? Was $500 and $3,200? So it's $37?
Yes.
Yes. So $3,700 is the total cost of the trip, and that includes everything from when you arrive in Egypt until you leave in Israel. That's the entire food, tips, hotel, internal transportation. The only thing it does not include is your flight from wherever you live to Egypt and out of Israel, and your visa and whatever you need to obtain for that.
Okay. Now the visa, since we're in the United States, we don't have to have it until we get to Egypt.
Exactly. Right? It's so easy. I was surprised. As soon as I arrived in Egypt, you just walk over to this little teller who also changes money, and you buy a $15 visa, and you're done.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's really easy. Don't even try to get it everywhere else.
Right.
It took people in New York, more money and more time to actually obtain theirs ahead of time.
I really have to be on this trip this time. It's been years. I mean,
it'll be good to see you again.
Yes, darling. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hi, this is Saraswati.
Hi, Saraswati.
Hello.
Hi.
I just wanted to add a comment. I went on the last Egypt trip, and I'm one of the oldest people that was on your trip. And we were complete, and my husband as well, and I'm talking the ages of 60. And we had absolutely no problem. We were completely pampered and taken care of. So if anyone's having a reservation about maybe they're not in the best physical shape or they feel they might be too old, that's just not a limitation to even consider. We came back more rested. We came back with more energy. Actually, we didn't come back with more rest, but we had more energy. Hello?
Thank you.
So it's really good to know that you really are taken care of, and we've found that every trip that we go on, we come back with more energy. And for myself, I had a great goddess experience with Goddess Sekhmet. So the goddesses are real, and Baba has reactivated many of these gods and goddesses who were dormant, and now he's bringing them to our consciousness. And if I can have an experience, I think anybody can. And it was just amazing. It was like Alkesh said, everyone was having a wonderful time, just not only on the physical level, but also on the spiritual level where it really matters. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Saraswati.
Hey, thank you. Hello?
Yes.
Hi, my name is... Hello? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, it's Elizabeth in New York. How's everybody?
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, you miracle lady, you.
The miracle continues to unfold. It's incredible.
Great.
I want you to know the woman who just spoke was not the oldest. And I was not prevented from doing anything. I mean, my thighs let me know that they were alive, but I would not have missed anything. I continue to know that there is a part of me that still is in Egypt, and I would give my eye teeth to be able to go back. I'm planning on doing it, but I'm not able to because of my responsibility at work. And I will be with you in spirit, although I would be longing to be there physically. I experience visions and things that I never have in all my life, and I've been on the path since 1969.
Wow.
All I can tell you is Egypt is special.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Very special.
Thank you, darling. Hello?
Yes.
Hi. I have a question. My name is Maria. I'm calling from Canada. And if I heard correctly, you mentioned that we will be picked up at the airport in Cairo.
Yes.
So basically, you need to know our arrival date.
Yes.
Do you recommend to change currency, or is everything handled once we get there in U.S. dollars?
No, not everything is handled in U.S. dollars. Once you arrive in the airport, we will pick you up, And what I personally did was bought the visa. When you can pay with U.S. dollars or any currency when you want to buy your visa, but it's cost $15 US. They'll give you change in the Egyptian pounds, and I believe the currency was the rate was pretty good at the airport. I don't recall exactly, but I did change some money just in case. But you can change money along the way at the hotels as well, so there's no fear in that. But everything that you purchase within Egypt will be in Egyptian pounds. Some places do also take U.S. dollars, so you have some flexibility there.
Which hotel is it that you would be staying at in Cairo?
In Cairo, we are happy to say that we're staying in the Four Seasons, which is, of course, if you know the Four Seasons, it's a 100% beautiful, elegant, an amazing spa, and just a superb service in all ways. So we will be staying in Cairo 3 nights at the Four Seasons.
Okay. Well, that was it for questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Is it possible to go swimming in the isn't there some like the lake or something? I'm not the sea. The sea.
We're going to bathe in the Dead Sea itself. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, incredibly healing. Apparently, you could also put the mud on you and bathe and do that whole thing.
Oh.
Any other questions?
I'm ready to go.
ShivaBaba.org. Okay, so that's a good segue. If you probably have seen the newsletter, but you can also go to ShivaBaba.org, SIVABABA.org. On the homepage, there's one of the options in one of the slideshows. You can click on that, and that brings you right to the page with all the details as well as registration to hold your deposit. Now, again, the deposit is only available until March 8th, and we're sorry to have to make it so tight, but logistically, it's just the only way it's going to work. We have to get our deposits over there to reserve our spaces, and we just need to know like the head count, really. So. Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question. This is Laurel.
Hi, Laurel.
I would love to
Laurel.
go. I won't know until the 7th or 8th if I'll have the funds to do this, but I'd really love to come on this trip.
Well,
and I wanted to find out if you know what the extra pre- and post-trip is. I mean, I'm sure you know, but can you tell us what it is?
Sure. Mohini, do you want to do this? Or do you want me to?
Yeah, we're actually finalizing all the details about the trip, but before the trip starts in Cairo, we're going to be offering a Nile cruise, and we see some of the most fantastic monuments along the Nile. There's some monuments that we haven't gone to, like Edfu and the Temple of Man, Abu Simbel. These were places that actually none of us have gone to yet, but I've heard from everyone that they are beyond fantastic, and they're specially accessed from the boats from the Nile. So we'll be gathering those details and passing them along in a newsletter as soon as possible, probably within a few days.
Do you know what date?
Experience, the starting date, I would be jumping off the top of my head. Jai, do you have the starting date on that?
Yeah, it would be leaving Cairo to fly up to either Luxor or Aswan to do the boat ride on April 8th, which is a Friday. So you would need to have arrived. You could either arrive, I think you might need to arrive by the 7th in order to overnight one night in Cairo and then leave early on the 8th and head up north to go on the cruise.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And then, Laurel, after the trip, we'll be offering an extension to Jordan. And we've heard so much about the glory and splendor and beauty of Jordan and the entire area there. And when I was actually driving through the area of the Sea of Galilee, my guide showed me at one point where the Palestinian desert met Jordan. And I looked across. You can look into Jordan. And I thought, oh, my God, I see why they called this a land of milk and honey. It is so fantastic. It's something surreal. I could feel the energy emanating off that land. It was incredible. So there's another holy mountain there that we'll be visiting. And again, all those details, we hope to have them by the end of the week for everyone. And that trip also, we don't have the exact dates on that, but that would be probably 4 to 5 days after the 20th.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Yes.
You mentioned that everything is included, also the meals. Now, I'm myself a vegetarian. Would that be a problem?
Not at all. In fact, we have a lot of vegetarians in our group. We prepare for that so that all our vegetarians have enough options. And when you're in Egypt and Israel, they actually have such a wonderfully healthy diet. There's always a spread of salads and olives and hummus and cheeses, and it's like a vegetarian delight. Like I loved it. So there's definitely not.
Well, excellent then.
Can I say a quick thing?
Sure.
This is Ambika. I just want to say, if you do Jordan, I have the only place I've been to in Jordan was Petra. I don't know, Mohini, what you're looking at, but that's really amazing.
That's where we're going.
Okay. I overlanded from Israel there. Yeah, it was pretty easy, so that's cool. Okay, and I feel like I'll have more questions, but I don't have any yet because you guys did a really good job of explaining everything. So that was just my little note.
If you got more questions, you can send them in to Alakesh.
Okay.
And I think everyone has his email address and phone number. Do we want to give that again, Beth?
Yeah, because this will be posted out there. So for future questions, after you hear this or after a few days, definitely contact us. Do not hesitate. You can contact Alakesh at ALAKES as in Sam, H as in Henry, at shivababa.org, SIVABABA.org. Alakesh is also making himself very generously available by phone for anything that can't be answered by email, and that number is 646-505-0580. But don't, I'll speak for Alakesh. Give him the opportunity to answer via email first, because if he received a ton of calls, he would probably be pretty bogged down.
I just have a comment. This is Uma. I went on the January trip. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably topping one of the oldest people that went on that trip. I had a fall at the Karnak Temple, and when I came home, I did not have an ache or a pain in my body. It included, we took a side trip afterwards. Rogia and I took a trip on our own afterwards and went to Mount Sinai and climbed it. And you can ride the camels up. I highly recommend it because the 700 steps are a rather long 700 steps to the top. Highly recommend it. And if you are able to go to Petra, it's unbelievable. And it puts things together. And I expect probably you're going to go to Nebo. Mount Nebo is where most of the Promised Land. It is a really awesome, awesome experience. And I would love to go again to Egypt. I'm just like I'm thinking of Baba's line when he said, the money's in the bank.
You know,
thanks for sharing.
Did he say which bank?
There's a lot of background noise I'm noticing. If you're not speaking, if you could mute your line by pressing *6. That would help.
Oh, I had my phone on speaker too.
Oh, okay.
That might help. But anybody who has any doubts about going, for heaven's sake, this is the opportunity of a lifetime, and don't hold back about going.
Thank you. I completely agree. It really is an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, I'm still processing all of it, and everything Alakash said, everything you've been talking about, it's multiplied many, many times, and the energy, my body felt so good when I came back. I couldn't believe it. No aches and pains, just felt wonderful. So go for it, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
The trip from Egypt to Israel, is that a bus trip or is it a flight that we have to book?
It's a bus trip.
It's a bus.
Oh, I see. Okay. Is that something we have to make arrangements for, or is it done as part of the package?
It's part of the package, and from the moment you enter Cairo, we take care of you every moment of every day, so there's nothing that you need to even think about.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. You only need to book your flight. Other than that, it's all on us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, any other questions?
Would you know the price, the round-trip airfare, roughly from New York to and back?
It really depends.
I've been checking some of the airfares, and they've ranged from, depending on what time you want to leave and which day. So they range between $900 and they go as high as $1,200. But you can find flights for $900 that will go to Cairo, and then you can leave from Tel Aviv back to New York.
What airline would that be? Would it be Delta?
Delta is doing it. Continental is doing it. What you can do is you can go to like one of these online providers like Expedia, and just make sure that you click on multiple destinations.
Okay.
And just put in your destination from New York, and you can leave from any one of the airports and to Cairo. And the Cairo code is CAI.
Okay.
And then you can leave from Tel Aviv, Israel, and the code for that is TLV.
Okay.
And then just back to New York or to Newark, New Jersey, wherever you want, whichever airport you want to come back home to.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so it looks like we're wrapping up. Any last questions? Well, I want to thank Alakash and Mohini and all of you for joining us tonight. It is, as you have heard, one of the highlight of this year, I think. And, of course, we also mentioned you will be entering these power spots on the Tamil New Year when the sun moves into Aries. So that is the Vedic New Year, the astrological New Year. So you're really setting the tone for the structure of your whole new year. And thank you for joining us, and we hope to see all of you in Egypt and Israel in April. And again, if you have any questions, please contact Alakash at shivababa.org. And I think that's it. Mohini or Alakash, have anything else last to say?
I think this is...
It's going to be phenomenal.
That's true.
It sounds like.
Life transforming. Okay. Well, good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.